Peterson. I'm the principal of a small planning firm called Peterson Planning Strategies, which I founded about 3 years ago. From Iowa State in engineering in 1978 and began working for the city of Ankeny as a junior civil engineer. And over time with that job, the community was growing rapidly. They asked me to do a variety of different things. And so the first step was to staff the Plan and Zoning Commission. I had a feeling that I needed to learn more about planning, so I came actually back up to the extension office and asked a million questions and got a million resources and really kind of studied on my own while working for the Plan and Zoning, or with the Plan and Zoning Commission in Ankeny. And so 4 years out of school, I took the PE exam and became a registered civil engineer in Iowa. And 5 years out of school, I took the AICP exam and became a certified planner. So I passed on my first try. So that career then, over 35 plus years of working in a rapidly growing suburb in Iowa, suburb of Des Moines. We grew, the community was about 9,000 people when I moved there, and about 55,000 when I left the city and started this consulting. People think it's kind of weird to stay in one place for so long, but the job was so different over the course of those 35 years that it was always new, it was always fresh, it was always fun to come into work because we knew we were going to have challenges. And then just the resources around the country. Planners like to talk about what they do. And that's the challenge, that's the fun, that's the excitement of working in the field. It's pretty easy. It's openness, a willingness to listen. The things that, kind of in addition to that, I do think that people skills are really important. I think you have to be able to present ideas and concepts. I think you have to be able to listen, and you have to be able to interpret what people are saying. Planners have to work for the long term. The greatest compliments I've ever received was from my administrative assistant of several years when I was with the city of Ankeny. And when I was leaving, she came to me and she said, "Who's going to be the person that will actually go out front and sit down with somebody for the 10 minutes that they need to have their questions answered?" Listen to the trends and understand the trends. And that's a part of the science, is following those things and what they're about, what's the evidence behind them. But at the same time, you kind of have to view the long term, and is this a trend that's going to play out? I always feel like there's a lot of things that come around again that's just repackaged. And I know that there's people that do that. They repackage something, call it something new, market their book, go out on the conference tour and present. And a lot of those things are, so you have to kind of find, and I think this is where the education and continuing education gets to be important, is being able to sort through the noise and find those really important pieces that if you do them well and do them right, the communities are going to thrive. Some of the challenges in Ankeny were a city council that's very development driven, or had been years ago, still is, and two major developers in the community. So there was always a balance of the challenges of what those developers wanted to do versus what built a good community. I think that the way we managed that was to kind of straddle it we wanted to continue to attract the investment, and we needed the developers to continue to invest in the community. So the challenge was really to find a good planning piece that we could carry out and still give them what they needed. So I always used a philosophy of partnering instead of going nose to nose, which is what a lot of planners do, I think. We we stand on something, whatever that is, if it's a written code, whether as a planner we wrote it or not, or whether it's just this is what the code says. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that, versus something unique or different that a developer wants to do. And always felt like we were better off if we turned and faced the same direction, shoulder to shoulder, instead of nose to nose. Well, the funny story would be the controversial decision that goes through the whole process and then nobody shows up for the final choice, which means you either did something right or you just wore everybody out. My mind immediately goes to the controversial projects, and I don't know why, because I think maybe those are places where process didn't work as well. But it's, they're all, the apartment complex that gets proposed on a piece of ground that it meets all requirements, but it's adjacent to a residential area whose real estate agent all told them it was going to be a park or it's going to be farmed forever or something like that. Those are the tough ones, because in a lot of communities the neighborhood doesn't have a lot of say at the point that they're conforming with everything. There are hearings for zoning changes and things like that, so you don't have a formal connection or process. So I think those are probably the most difficult ones. I think that my advice is get as broad a background as you're able to. I think one of the things that makes me a more valuable planner is that I came from a different place. I came from engineering, but I think one of the roles of planners all the time is to be the organizer, to be the convener, and the more we can understand the other professions that we might work with in community development, community design, and the more that we can understand the community and the people in our communities, the richer